Good day to everybody. Good day to everybody. I'm Mr. R.C. Musi from the province of Northwest as a facilitator. Today we are going to facilitate about pointing out process. That's our topic of today. What is a pointing out? To direct someone attention to someone or something by pointing. The pointing out of crime scene happen when suspects are taken to a large crime scene to inform the police about what had happened. Pointing out are referred to in Section 218 of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977. Section 218 of Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977, admissibility of facts discovered by means of inadmissible confession. The investigation of crime requires both experience and proficient detective work. The pointing out of crime scenes by a suspect is an important part of the investigation and goes hand in hand with confession and admission. The pointing out of crime scene happen when suspects are taken to a large crime scene to inform the police about what had happened. There is a picture of warrant officer and a captain. They are the members who are not stationed in the same area of that station, of those suspects is there, but they are from other area police stations. They are neutral people that are not involved in the tasking which was arresting the suspect, and they are not even stationed in that station. Circumstances. A suspect is questioned usually by the police in the course of this interview. The suspect are no longer interrogated, they are interviewed. The suspect makes an admission or confession which is inadmissible. Often part of this admission or confession consisting of suspect informing the police that he can point out something or some place of relevance to the case. It can also consist of information which will enable the police to discover these things themselves. This may lead to the murder, as an example victim, a murder weapon, or a stolen property being discovered. Difference between confession and admission. The difference between confession and admission. When it comes to the law of evidence, knowing the difference between confession and admission is initially as they have various degree of importance when submitted as proof. Confession and admission. The main difference between the confession and admission is that confession referred to as a voluntary statement made by the person who has been accused of committing a crime. It is a direct acknowledgement of a guilty by the accused. On the other hand, admission, while also being a voluntary statement, is merely the acknowledgement that a particular fact is true. What procedure are to be followed during pointing out? What procedure are to be followed during pointing out? Depending on the risk and seriousness of the crime, the suspect must be cuffed with both hand and foot cuffs during the pointing out process to prevent him or her from escaping or from attacking the police members. The pointing out officer must take and keep full notes of the whole pointing out process. It means the officer or a captain or a colonel who's going to participate in pointing out. You'll make notes, everything said by the suspect. You'll write date, time, place where the suspect is going to point, the area where pointing out is going to be held. Remember to read him or her his rights of constitution. We must read him also his rights before we are taking him to the pointing out by the officer who's going to be in charge. Suspect must be cuffed with both hand and foot cuffs. You can see there the police officer support what we see with that picture, that the suspect is cuffed with both hands and foot cuffs. That picture, the suspect taken for pointing out, is at the police station there. You can see sergeant there. They put the suspect behind the bakkie. They close the bakkie. He will be taken to the pointing out. He's the one who's going to direct the police officers where the crime have occurred. It's going to give directions. There's the picture. Keeping distance. The investigating officers must keep his or her physical distance during the pointing out process. It means that the police officers who is investigating the case will not participate during pointing out. It's not allowed by the law of South Africa. It needs somebody who's partial, who's neutral, who does not belong to that station or that area. That person must come from another area, police station area. In fact, it is of utmost important that the investigating officer does not participate in the pointing out process at the crime scene. When a task team is part of an investigation, nobody who is part of that investigation must be at the crime scene where pointing out are held. It means all the people that participate during the investigation or during the task team that were investigating that case, no one of them is going to participate during pointing out. Caution on crime. The crime scene, you can see there, it's closed. Nobody must enter there where the suspect is going to show pointing out. There's the picture B, pointing out. There's a captain with warrant officer, and the suspect with the red shirt is the one who's showing where the victim was murdered, or it's where it shows that the victim was killed, or it shows where they have hired the firearms that were used at the crime of scene somewhere. Now they are going to take them out there. Photo taking C. There's a photograph. This photograph is a police officer. He's from local criminal record center in that area. He's taking photos during the pointing out at the scene of crime. You can see him is taking photos. D. There's a video. It's also a local criminal record center member who is also taking photos. He's a police officer who's taking photos during pointing out. E. The same police officers of local criminal record center is taking photos from the scene of crime where the suspect now is going to, after he have finished, he's pointing out to the officer. He will take photos that he was not beaten, he was not forced by any police officer. He was doing that by voluntarily, from him or from his voluntarily, without forced. There is the suspect now. It's going back to the police station. They take him back to the police station after pointing out. That's F. Sergeant is taking him back to the vehicle. That is what is representing. The suspect will be returned back after pointing out to the crime scene center, to the crime service center. We mean at the police station. He will be taken from the crime scene to the service center. The captain who have held the suspect will be returned back after pointing out to the crime. He will be taken to the crime service center. The captain who have held a pointing out will hand the suspect to CAC commander. The CAC commander, we are talking about the person who's in charge at police station during that day in the shift. We call him as a CAC commander. He's the one who's in charge there. There are members that are follow under him. He's the manager of that shift. Now, when the captain comes back, we'll hand it over to him or her to the set commander. He can be he or she. In the CAC, he can be a warrant officer. He can be a captain. He can be a colonel. It will depend the one who's in charge there with the rank. The CAC commander will inspect thoroughly before he or she take the suspect to the police cell. He will make an entry in our occurrence book that the suspect is still in good condition. When he arrives at the CAC, when handed over by the captain who have taken the suspect to the pointing out, he will inspect him thoroughly that he's not beaten. He's still in a good condition. That will be done by the CC commander. Then after that, he can take him to the police cell, to the safe custody of the police. The captain who have held pointing out will take all the records, videos, photos, statements to the investigator officer. Before he take them, he will be receiving that from the local criminal record center member. That are local criminal record center member that have taken videos there. They will provide him with all aspects where the scene of crime. Will provide him or her with the statements, with those photos, with those videos. Then the person who was in charge, a captain, will take all those documents as documentary evidence, as a physical evidence to the investigating officer. After everything mentioned above is done, so the pointing out is finally completed. You can see him there, the captain from the pointing out, arrive at the police station with all documents that have handed over to him. He will take the documents to the said investigating officer, to his office. Here is the warrant officer or a sergeant who is investigating the case. He have received everything now. Now he's preparing to take the docket to court, where the docket will be trial. That's the end of the investigation done by the pointing out officer, a captain who was in charge. He will hand it over there, but everybody who have participated during the testing will not take part in pointing out. So we conclude here. Any question? You are allowed, I will answer you. Thank you to everybody. You have support us in this topic of pointing out. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Richard. Thanks, the project manager. Bye.